So I've done quite a few laps. I've done like, I don't know, maybe like 100 laps of Red Bull Ring, something like that. And also, yeah, quite a bit of laps of Le Mans. So I have a good idea of what the tire model does, and I have my personal favorite car already. Um, just to get that out of the way, the personal favorite car is the BMW by far. I've done quite a few laps at the Red Bull Ring, and I also did a few laps at Daytona with it. And the thing that's changed the most of it is the front end feel. So the front end of the Beamer is like a lot more than what it previously was. My biggest gripe with the Beamer in the previous tire model was that the front tires wouldn't, you just didn't have that much feeling on the fronts. Like it would feel a bit numb, meaning it was quite understeery all the time. But now it's like a lot more responsive. I also tried the Cadillac at Sebring. Wasn't too impressed, I can't lie. I think the Cadillac's honestly gotten worse. So I don't like that. I need to do some more testing with it, but from my first impressions, Cadillac, no good. The Ferrari, it had a massive rework. To be honest, it's a lot more stable than it was, but I still think it's on the lower end of the spectrum compared to the stability compared to the other cars. Like the Beamer, it's ridiculous how stable it is. Like when we get to the Porsche curves, you can sort of take it flat in the Ferrari, but in the Beamer, it's like easy flat in between some of the S's. And obviously, not all the S's are flat. I mean, it's not hyper grip, but yeah, it's definitely a lot more stable in the high speeds. Another thing that's changed, the cold tires. The cold tires are a lot more forgiving now. Like you will not see as many people sliding and spinning at the start of the race, which is nice because actually when I was doing IMSA at Le Mans, I warmed up the fronts too much a tiny bit on the formation lap, and then I went into T1 and just spun. Like the tires were just gone. And I feel like that'll be a thing of the past. You won't need to scud them in as much in the start because they are just naturally faster in the start. To put it in perspective of what they feel like now compared to what they did. So like pretend your tires are in the previous tire model, the pressure was at like 1.65-ish. That's what it feels like on colds now. That's like I'd say pretty accurate. But yeah, I mean the Ferrari's really, really quick still around Le Mans, so I was testing that as well to see if it's still got that insane top speed, which it does. The weird thing, so a tip with the fixed setup is on the Beamer, I was running 46 brake bias and +2 brake migration. Basically, the thinking for that is in the straight line, when you brake hard, the brake migration will be backwards, so it'll be at 46, and then it'll +2, so it'll plus a percent to 47% when you are at the final phase of the trail brake. Because the problem with the Beamer right now is that I mean, it's not really a problem, but very sensitive on the front end, especially in the final phase of the trail brake. Like it's actually quite easy to spin now in the Beamer on the final phase. So if you run positive migration, you will not lock up as much in a straight line, and in the end of the trail brake, it'll basically make it a tiny bit more understeery. So the brake migration is really useful, and you can do it in the fixed setup as well, which makes it like a massive game changer in my opinion. So definitely use the brake migration. So yeah, the Ferrari feels pretty good. I mean, there's no like a lot of people who I was talking to say that the Ferrari feels horrible, but nah, I mean, I don't really feel like any car feels particularly horrible, like in that sort of way. I think some cars are just better than others, but my top pick right now is the Beamer. As for pace, I still think the Porsche could be the fastest, to be honest, because like the Porsche hasn't changed too much, like if at all. It's just got more stability on the rears. So into high speed corners, it's even better than it was. And it's got even more stability than it already did because it was one of the most stable ones. Probably the Beam was the most stable, but the Porsche was very close second. So yeah, I'm just going to fast forward to the Porsche curves to show you the stability. So we'll do it without talking and then I'll walk it through. Obviously, the Ferrari on this exit has the four-wheel drive, so it makes it even more stable. But the point that I want to show you is in between here. So usually when you'd get back on throttle here, it would be like you could feel the rears almost stepping out a little bit. Like you'd have quite a lot of slip. Now it's more pushy on the front, if anything. Like it's very, very stable. Also when you used to warm up the tires, you'd have to be honestly quite careful if you did it like without scrubbing, of trying to not to spin. Now it's just like pretty easy. It just feels like I don't know, like a LMP2 when on the warm up. Like you can just weave side to side, and you have the stability on the rears, and it doesn't feel like you're about to spin warming up the tires. Like you have that extra stability. As for pace, I mean, obviously with the added stability, surely that there'll be some sort of pace increase. As for how much, I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, when I was doing the week of IMSA, I was doing it in the Porsche, and the Ferrari was a few tenths quicker, so this 21,871 is pretty quick. But also the usage was very, very low, so that also plays a factor. So I don't actually think it's the actual uh, times of the lap will be that much faster. It's not. It's nowhere near hypergrip, right? But it just feels like, imagine the hypergrip tire model on this, but just less grip all around. So it feels a lot more stable. On throttle, it's like, I wouldn't say that much has changed on throttle, to be honest. In low speed corners, I mean, sorry. So on throttle in low speed, you still have that like it'll still kick a little bit on the rear. Like here, like it'll still kick, but it's just, I'd say, to a lesser extent. So as for setups, yeah, I'd say like you could probably use an old setup for this new model, but it just needs some slight tweaking because the fronts in most cars are generally more responsive, especially in the BMW. So you might need to make it a tiny bit more understeery, so like less rake or something like that. But the main concepts of the setup will stay the same. It's nothing. It's not like going from hypergrip to the season one tires. Like it's nothing to the previous tires. It's nothing like that. It's like actually quite subtle. The tire model. It's not like an absolute game changer, but it's definitely a lot. A step in the right direction. As for surface temperature management, it's like a tiny bit less important now. Like it's not as crazy as it was. But don't get me wrong, if you were to, I don't know, let's say in this corner, you were to light up the rears in this corner, then this corner you would notice the effect still, if that makes sense. But it just would be to a lesser extent. Like you wouldn't have absolutely zero grip here, but it would be, you'd have less grip than you would if you didn't light up the rears. So the surface temperature management still stays the same. So if you don't know what that is, I've got a video on that, so you can go to check out the channel. It's honestly, it's one of the videos that I genuinely think is quite good, and I don't really say that much. So yeah, I'd definitely give that a watch if you don't already know about the surface temperature management. But yeah, I mean, there's not that much difference. It's just the cold tires. The warm up is a lot better. Like it's just the cold tires are just better in general. Like you won't spin as much, to say the least. And yeah, there's just a bit more high speed corner stability, and the rest is pretty much the same. And then there's just slightly less um, surface temperature, sort of the build up, how sensitive it is to the surface temperature. So yeah, I'd say it's just like imagine the old tires were like the V2.0. These are like the V2.5. Like it's not like a full step forward, but it's definitely getting to the right place. So yeah, I'd honestly say I'm pretty happy with this update. The FFB, by the way, when I tried the Cadillac at first, and I was like, what the heck have they done to the FFB? It feels so weird, but the Beamer still feels fine, and the Ferrari FFB is still fine. So yeah, I don't really see a problem. The Porsche FFB is still fine. It was just the Cadillac. The Cadillac is like really changed. I don't know why, because there's nothing in the patch notes about the aero being done or anything. But for some reason, with the new tires, it feels completely different. So I don't know what they've done with that, but it needs to be sorted out, in my opinion. I'll give it more testing, but my first impressions weren't very good. Acura, I don't know, to be honest. I'll need to test it. I hope it's not meta, because it's just like the car feels very wooden, especially on these new tires in hypergrip era. If you don't understand what hypergrip means, it was just like the very, very fast tires that everyone was moaning about. That's the hypergrip era. The hypergrip era, it felt quite nice, but in this new era of tires, no, it's not the car that I'd like to drive. It's almost too pointy on the fronts, to the point that it will overheat the fronts and turning, and it'll understeer. So in mid corner, so I don't like it too much. Um, so I need to do testing on that. But yeah, if I was to do a tier list right now, in terms of driving feeling, it would be uh, BMW first, Porsche second, uh, Ferrari probably third. I'd need to try the Acura, but that could change. And then Cadillac would be last. I'd need to try the Acura. So yeah, so BMW, Porsche, Ferrari, Cadillac, and then I need to test the Acura. So yeah, I can't speak for the Acura as of yet, but For Daytona, what would I choose? Probably still the Porsche just because of the bus stop. I need to check the new track limits though. I know that the esports line for T1 has changed, so that'll be different. But I'm anyway used to that because of IMSA esports. We can use the esports line for IMSA esports, so I'm used to that. And then the bus stop, I they've added a slowdown, but I don't think they've revamped the track limits. There's still you need to use a bit of curb, so it still stays the same for the Porsche mostly. But yeah, I think Porsche would be top pick, and then BMW would be a very strong pick as well. Ferrari wouldn't be a bad choice. Acura is not a bad choice actually around Daytona as well. And then Cadillac would probably be last. I think it's a death trap over the uh, bus stop in the at Daytona. So I'd be very careful with the Cadillac. I would not pick that for the Daytona 24 at all. Like I'd just stay away. We had to run it for the IMSA Esports, and when I was doing practice over the bus stop, that thing was an absolute death trap. So just don't pick that car, please. So yeah, for the Daytona 24, Porsche, BMW, Acura, Ferrari, and then Cadillac. Just don't use it. So yeah, I mean, wasn't that in depth, but I think I just covered generally what happened. I mean, there's not that much difference. I saw Spector's video as well, and he sort of didn't go into that much detail as well because it's not like it's crazy amount of difference. It's just better. It's just a step in the right direction, but it's not a leap in the right direction. So yeah, hopefully it helped.